Hi, it's Alaska Granny. I was recently reading that the country of Norway has made it a priority to start stockpiling extra grain. Norway wants to get their grain stockpile up to 82,000 tons. Do you realize how much 82,000 tons is? That's 164 million pounds. When you think of it as like tons of grain, we say that all the time, tons of stuff, but what does it actually mean? A ton is 2,000 pounds, so 82,000 tons of grain is 164 million pounds of grain. So I did a little research. What's the population of Norway? And it's 5.3 million people. So if you pretty much divide the population by the amount of grain, what the government is stockpiling is 32 pounds of grain per person. And this grain is going to belong to the government. It's going to be stored in the country, but it belongs to the government because they want to make sure that they don't run out. There have been struggles after the pandemic. There have been wars in different places. There have been crop failures. And many people are concerned with climate change, that this could all affect the production of food going forward. Plus, I haven't noticed the population decreasing anywhere, have you? Norway is concerned with strengthening their national preparedness, the security of their people. Why don't we want to make sure that we have enough for our family so that we can strengthen our personal preparedness as well? So think about it. Could you stock up on 32 pounds of grains per person for the people in your family? How difficult would that be? It doesn't mean you need big bags of wheat. Think about all the foods that are grains that you already have in your pantry. Most of us as preppers have a working pantry, and then we also have a prepper pantry where we have our food stockpile. So let's look over what are the options of grain you likely already have, and what are some that you can add to that stockpile or get more of so that you have enough food for your family. Now remember, figure out how many are in your family. If I'm a family of one, you're going to need far more food in your home. If you have, say, 6 children, you're going to need far more. And you want to be able to feed every single person in your family. That only makes sense. Don't you want to be able to provide for yourself and your family? So let's look over what are some grains you likely already have, and what are some that you want to add or add more of and bulk up that stockpile. I looked first in my pantry because I have canisters of grains that I'm using on a regular rotational basis. I have rice, I have oatmeal, I have flour, I have waffle mix. I also have another one of these that's pancake mix. I have some whole wheat flour. Then I have food that I stored into jars. I stockpiled some spaghetti. I also have lots of jars of other types of noodles as well, but I like to get the long straight noodles because you can fit so many more in a jar than fancy cute noodles. You can't even put a whole package into a jar, but you can put maybe 2 packages, 2 pounds of a long straight noodle into a jar. And then you can put on a lid, seal it up, and it's going to last indefinitely. I've never had pasta that became rotten or stale. I've always had it be good to eat. Maybe you like quinoa. Quinoa is a very nutritious and delicious grain. You can buy it in a big container like this, and I've even seen in times past you could pick up 1-pound packages even at Dollar Tree. So if you haven't tried quinoa, get a small package and try it. It isn't hard to cook. It takes less time than rice. It gives you a kind of a nutty, delicious flavor that's a little different. And so quinoa is something that's fun to eat. You can make, we always call them quinoa crunch bowls or something, that will cook up some quinoa, and then we'll add things like beans or meat or vegetables and make it like a sort of a set. You can be a hot dish or a cold dish depending on what your mood is and the temperature, the weather where you are. So try making some grain bowls with quinoa if you haven't ever tried it. You might find it's one of your new favorite things. Barley is another grain that I have some of, not a lot. I don't eat it a lot, but I do like to add barley into things like soups, and it is a different tasting type of grain. Maybe you already have some, maybe you want to get some. It isn't very expensive, it's simple to prepare, and it gives you an additional type of grain so that you avoid food fatigue. Nobody wants to eat rice every single day or even a pancake every single day. If you have variety in these basic foods, you're on your way to having that 32 pounds of grain per person. These are easy ways to store grain so that you can have them in a bulk amount. You can have them so that they'll last for a long time. And then they're also, if you have them stored in easy to open canisters and things in your pantry, they're easy to get into, to use, and to rotate. So when they start to get down, make sure that you go into your stockpile and get some that you have set aside and fill these up, and then replace that. If you have some extra, say flour, rice, or pasta noodles in your stockpile, then when you use these up and you buy more at the store, don't just put the new into your canisters, into your working pantry. You want to rotate. You want to take it to your stockpile, bring the grain out of your stockpile and put it in your working pantry, and that way you're rotating and replacing it so that you're going to have an ample amount of food. You're also going to have the freshest foods. Sometimes it's easy to just bring the new box home and pour it into your oatmeal container, but it isn't the correct way or the smartest way to utilize your resources. Look again on your pantry shelves. Likely you have foods that are easy to prepare that contain a lot of grains. This will help you add to your grain stockpile so that you have easy to prepare meals. In a crunch time situation, you don't necessarily want to start preparing your own bread. You want to have easy to open, simple to prepare foods that are already practically cooked or hardly any cooking, so that you can put meals on the table in a hurry. Have several weeks of those kind of foods, because you never know what the day can bring, and we need to be able to get a meal on the table in a hurry so that we don't make an emergency by we don't have anything to eat except something complicated and we need to be somewhere. So think about simple to prepare and open and eat foods. Maybe you want to have some crackers or some basic cereal. And you know, cereal, you can put it in a bowl and add milk, but if you get some of the sweet treat cereals, you could just eat them as is. You can just get some handfuls, put it into a Ziploc bag, and take it on your way. Think about some of the easy to prepare foods like macaroni and cheese, Knorr noodles. If you haven't tried the teriyaki, that's one of my favorites right now. I just picked up a few extras of those because I had rotated through them, and they're pretty darn good. And it gives some variety. Then don't forget things like muffin mixes. I've had a hard time finding the Betty Crocker where you just add water, and so I've sort of been hanging on to the last few that I have. I don't want to use them and then not have any, but at the same time, they've reached their expiration date and I need to get rotating those. So yeah, let me know if you're able to find the Betty Crocker muffin mixes, because I think they're so simple. Just add water, bake it in the oven, and you have some delicious, yummy muffins. Then don't forget things like even hamburger helper. There's lots of noodles in here, which is made out of grain, and you can even, maybe you have some canned meat you can add to it, or you can even, this one says you can add like frozen meatballs. So if you don't even have a pound of hamburger, you can still add something to get a meal on the table. And then there's Alaska's favorite, pilot bread. These are long lasting crackers. They're so good. And if you haven't tried pilot bread, check it out. They're a sturdy cracker that just doesn't really break until you bite into it. They don't crumble all up like, say, a saltine cracker. And you can top them with all kinds of things and make them into sandwiches, little pizzas. I even made a video about all the different ways you can enjoy pilot bread and what you can make with it. I'll put a link to that video in case you haven't learned about pilot bread yet. Then you can also look at the longest lasting grains that are already prepared to last, and you can set them away in your pantry. I have ordered lots of the long-term foods from the Mormon Church or the LDS Church, and they have a wide variety. And when you order it, it comes in a number 10 can. It comes in a box of 6 of the same item. For example, this one is oatmeal. I've also bought just wheat from them, and I've bought spaghetti bites from them, which are like, they're already in the can. It's broken up spaghetti. I think I have macaroni. There's different things. You can buy even flour from them. It's packaged to last for the long haul, and so you have that security knowing that if things go bad for a long, long time, you're still going to have it. Or if you don't want to keep buying this stuff and trying to rotate it, maybe it's something that you don't use all the time, but you want to have some, you can easily buy this and put it away, and then over the next 30 years you likely will find an opportunity that you can use this and know that it's going to be fresh. That's one of the benefits about buying the longest lasting foods. It's already packaged to last. You don't have to do any of the work, and you have the confidence that it's done correctly. I also buy some of the longest lasting foods from Augustin Farms. I can find them at Walmart here in Alaska, and you can also buy them online from Walmart, and you can order them sometimes on Amazon. And you can get grains the same as that. Augustin Farms has a lot more variety. For example, here's biscuit mix. So that's a great way to have a grain option in your prepper pantry, that you don't have to use it up before it goes stale in a year, because it's already packaged to last for years and years and years. The Augustin Farm comes with the plastic lid that the food from the Mormon Church doesn't include the lids, so pay attention when you're ordering. Make sure you get some lids somewhere and hang on to those so that you'll have them to seal the food up. I bought the granola from Augustin Farms, and it's really delicious, and I bought one a few years ago and opened it up and tried it, and it was excellent. So I bought some more, knowing that granola is something that my family enjoys, and here it is, stockpiled, ready to be fresh and able to be used. It'll tell you on the side, on the label, the granola lasts for 10 years. It might last a few years longer, but they're guaranteeing that it'll be fresh for 10 years. But most of these foods will last longer. The shelf life of the biscuit mix is also 10 years. So look on the labels of some of these, and the reason something like granola and biscuit mix isn't going to last the 30 years is because it has additional ingredients in it. Anytime you add more ingredients, you're adding something that could get spoiled first. So, you know, one of the reasons that biscuits and granola are delicious is because they have maybe fats and oils in them, which cannot last as long as just flour. So anytime you get a package of food that is multiple ingredients, realize that when the first ingredient goes spoiled, it contaminates everything. And so that's where it's much harder to store, say, a box of cereal, a bag of crackers, or like a muffin mix, because of all the different ingredients in them, and they're not going to last as long as something like rice or oatmeal that's a single ingredient. If it's important enough for the government of Norway to want to have grain on hand for all of their citizens, don't you want to care about your family just as much as they care about their people? Make sure that you are stockpiling foods that you normally would eat. Don't get food you don't like or you don't know what to do with, because that is a waste of your pantry space and your money, because in an emergency is the last time you want to try to start figuring out what to do with some food that you don't really know for sure what it is. So get the basic foods that you know how to use, pick up some of the packaged ready to eat and practically ready to just add water and cook a little. Get some of those foods, and if you see something you've never tried before, pick one up and take it home and try it, and if you like it, you can always go back and get more. That's the thing about some of these little packages. They come in different flavors, different varieties, and it's simple to pick one up and take it home and try it. And then if you don't like it, you can try a different type of package, a different flavor, different variety, but keep experimenting. When you find ones that you like, buy multiples of them. Have some in your pantry to use and some in your stockpile so that you will have more backup food, so that you will have enough to eat. Leave it in the comments below. What are some foods that you're stockpiling? Are you concerned with the prices going up? It is making it harder for us to add to our food storage stockpile, but we need to remember the prices are probably not going to just one day drop and be lower. The food you'll be eating in the future will be at yesterday's dollars, so today's prices going forward, that's going to be a great investment. Plus, who doesn't want to have enough food for their family? I know that I do, and that's why I'm a prepper. I want to make sure every day goes as smoothly as possible. And I want that for you as well. I hope you'll like my video, share my video with someone else you think might want to know this information, and please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.